Social Dilemma, Netflix, trending right now. Me and Logan watched it last night. I'd already watched it. He wants to watch it again so that we can have a proper breakdown of that show. It is captivating fucking programming.
Yeah, it's just regarding the way that technology, specifically social media, and the data that you give to these social media platforms when you use their product is collected to form an online avatar of you where the puppeteers can literally predict your behavior.
Yep.
It's terrifying. It's led to so much political divide. It's connected a lot of people. But what we said the other day is the good that social media provides because of the connections that it's making is not nearly as strong as the negative downside of social media because of the divide that it creates.
That's the conversation. I don't even know that we came to a conclusion. Was that your conclusion after watching that episode, or is it the question you went in with?
Well, I think so, because I don't mind social media platforms optimizing their product and trying to get as much data as me. They're trying to sell a product, and there's definitely going to be some efficacy things that come in there. But I do mind what it's doing to Generation Z.
That's
the conversation.
That's where we landed. We've seen it because when we first started watching the episode and you started saying, you kept having me stop it and saying, I don't see the fucking problem. Like this company is mining this data. This company's putting together an avatar to predict your real world behavior so that they can advertise better too. And it's all capitalism and it's all for the profit of these corporations. But I don't see the problem with it. And I said, that's right. 25-year-old Logan, strong-minded, set in his fucking ways, sure, to an extent, sure about what he's doing in life, isn't affected by the things that social media does as much as Gen Z.
16-year-old,
12-year-old, 14-year-old. I mean, some of these kids nowadays are getting phones at ages that are mind-blowing. And so in the episode, there's a dramatization that plays out that shows this girl, and she's getting comments about her ears and she's crying, and then it goes into this entire breakdown on the correlation between the 2013 advent of smartphones and release into society and a massive increase in suicide attempts and self-mutilation. I mean, bro, the correlation is exact. You have a pretty steady growth. You have the advent of the smartphone, and you have a fucking 150% increase in suicide attempts and self-mutilation. There is no question that there is a marked increase in anxiety, depression.
I have a word for that. Sentence.
What is it?
It's called instant digital empathy.
Okay.
Never before have you been able to feel what Becky is feeling in Nantucket, what James is feeling in Colorado, what Christian is thinking in China on his vacation or whatever. But at one moment in one story, you can see beach pictures. You can see my dog just died. You can see this, and you're pinging from high emotion to low emotion to high to low to sideways to mad to happy. And it's instant. It's certainly digital. And you're becoming empathetic with people who are not directly next to you or related to you in any way other than you follow them on the screen.
And they talked about this on the show. They talked about social media being akin to a slot machine. You pull the lever, you refresh your feed, you don't know what you're going to get.
Yep.
And
that's why it's so exciting.
It's so exciting. Dopamine hit, dopamine hit, dopamine hit. And they also said, and when I say these are, the show is based on sit-down interviews with the people who built social media. These are the ex-presidents of Facebook, of Instagram, of YouTube, the people that created the algorithms. They know exactly why everything is doing exactly what it does. And another one of the notes the guy said is, never before has there been a time where you would get feedback about you, your personality, your looks from hundreds of thousands of people. Wow. That we've evolved to care slightly about what people in our inner circle and our tribe think of us. And we make slight and for decades we've made slight adjustments to address what our people think of us. Mm-hmm. Now we're making slight adjustments to address what thousands and thousands and thousands of people we will never see globally think of us. This has never, ever, ever happened.
It's a lot.
Before.
It's a lot of attention.
Crazy. And there were so many great quotes in this show. And the other one of the ones that stood out to us that shocked us as well was, there's only two products that label their customers as users, drugs and software. That's it. Those are the only two things.
How interesting is it that social media, you are the drug and the user? Like, because of you, you are providing the drug for other people.
What was that? There was another good quote about that.
By the way, we weren't supposed to do. We were going to do this.
We need to get an expert.
We're doing. No, well, we're gonna bring somebody on, but I think we're doing a good enough job. But there was.
It's interesting because like when you log into social media, you have a goal. Check my Twitter feed, see what my mom is doing. Guess what Twitter has? A goal.
Its own goals
as well.
Yeah.
Twitter has a goal.
I'm trying to show you this.
You have an objective, and Twitter has another objective. And
so you're going to accomplish yours, but Twitter's also going to.
He basically, he's saying that like that's not how tools work.
That's not how tools
are
supposed to work.
You pick up a tool, you use it, it facilitates something. You pick up your phone, you use it, but this thing is selling to me. It's using me. It's selling to me. It's selling to me based on what it thinks I like, based on how long I spend with the Josie Canseco photo on my screen. They'll know I looked at that photo of baby. I got you 15 seconds. Mike Malak photo comes up, maybe half a second max.
Yeah.
Scroll on to the next one. Oh my God, yo, is that boxing gloves? Oh, those are comfy. If I'm on it for more than 3 seconds, I've just been pixeled.
Retargeting.
That's why you said retargeting's coming.
Wow.
Oh, you left a checkout, a shopping cart empty.
This is all the stuff but this is all the stuff we already knew. It's just
we here in LA.
Yes. A small group of people, and a lot of our very educated, impulsive audience. But then there was a lot of stuff in that fucking episode that was stuff that I didn't even know.
Yeah.
I mean, it started to dive into the disinformation that exists on the internet and how that is pushing the political divide that is greater right now than it ever has been before. Fake news spreads at a rate. We talked about this with Casey on the episode that comes after this. 6 times faster fake news spreads than real news.
It's insanity.
And so it's there's really no way to estimate the dramatic effect that social media is having.
That's the biggest problem. We don't know yet. We will know in 20 to 25 years. It'll have been too late. The problem, as identified in the social dilemma, is very evident. I'm happy to say I do believe there's a solution, and I just believe it's an ethical thing. I think whoever like regulates the internet or regulates and make sure Facebook is abiding by like some sort of moral
FCC
standard.
Probably Federal Trade Commission.
They're gonna come up with something that definitely prohibits social media and these massive platforms. But then again, maybe not, because the information and the data that social media collects and gathers will also aid the government. So if the government is getting behind to go further with whatever propaganda or information or disinformation they want to do. If the government gets behind social media platforms and they don't do the right thing and provide some sort of ethical code for them to follow as they're building the code, we're gonna be fucked.
Yeah.
Were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I just have a question about algorithms, but keep going.
Go for it. That was it.
My question is like, how soon are we gonna be able to talk to an AI, go to @Instagram and say, hey, I'm tired of seeing all these pictures of yellow Tonka trucks. Can you please start showing me black labs? And it answers and it says, yes, here you go. Here are like, do we not have any power? Do we not have any control?
That's already happening. I mean, because here's the thing, and I don't even think they covered this at all, but all these platforms are working together as well. So when you go search black labs on Google, don't be surprised when black Labradors start showing up in your Instagram feed. Like these things are all working together in fucking in with share voice, and it's a mess. And I think we also talked about people that are immune to the downside and the negative side of social media, because we talked about Gen Z being the core sufferer.
Yeah.
I said my mom had a best friend my entire life growing up. I called her Auntie Cindy. Her name was Auntie Cindy. Best friends, best friends.
Uh-huh.
They grew up together. They did everything together. They went through all the trials and tribulations of life together. In 2016, when all of the disinformation, fake news, the right saying the left is trying to kill everyone, take our guns, the left saying the right is trying to steal the money and put the kids in cages on the border of Mexico, all of the disinformation severed the relationship between my mom and her best friend.
Wow.
They do not they do not meet in any middle ground or talk anymore.
And how long have they been friends?
50 years.
Okay, so check
40,
it.
50 years.
This is what we're saying. The scale at which social media connects and leads to positive anything,
Yep.
i.e., met a guy, bought a Pokemon card from him, brought two people together who would have never met, conducted a business transaction.
Had a threesome. 2 girls slid into it. Like that kind of situation, right?
All right.
Just different examples. Any
It's
examples?
not nearly,
examples.
does not nearly have as much weight as the idea of, because of social media and disinformation, 2 friends of 50 years are no longer speaking to each other. Like, one of those has a little bit more weight,
Right.
in my opinion,
And
skews in the opposite direction.
And the best friends not talking to each other is still not the apex of the
worst
of the
worst.
downside.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Because as you learn further in the episode, and some of the biggest disinformation when it starts to get hot is then propagated by the platform, i.e. Pizzagate. Okay. And so Facebook noticed that people who were who were likely to be interested in chemtrails and anti-vaccination
Even
stories,
flat Earth stuff.
were also likely to be interested in a new story that was coming out about this thing called Pizzagate. And so Facebook knew that if they served Pizzagate stories to these people, they would watch long enough to see the ads and Facebook would make more money.
Serving you content that you've shown interest in, even though it's false. Like,
Even though it's false. So Facebook ends up
no one's
propagating
spreading disinformation. Bro.
disinformation, propagated the Pizzagate scandal or the Pizzagate conspiracy, which has been debunked through and through by every single person ever attached to anything. It is the most debunked story ever. Was propagated by Facebook, and that led to a man going with a rifle to the pizza shop and shooting a bullet into the fucking pizza shop. No one was injured, but there are real life consequences for the actions these platforms are taking for profit.
Bro, we haven't even seen the beginning.
Haven't even seen the beginning.
I'm telling you, there are going to be some serious repercussions that we find out about in a decade or two. It's crazy.
Yeah.
But this started with us saying, like, kids are growing up faster. Their access to information and also anything is right at their fingertips.
Scary.
It's scary. I'm interested to see how parenting changes.
Yeah.
Just getting into a little bit deeper of a conversation for a second, like, shout out to all the parents out there raising kids. I imagine it's a little harder in an age where, like, physical discipline is frowned upon in a way that if you do it nowadays, like, you'll get in massive trouble. Like, when I was growing up, physically disciplined, stayed in line because my parents, and nothing violent, but like, a spank, got the spoon. Maybe if I did something real bad, the belt. And you just can't do that now.
Mm-hmm.
Probably for good fucking reason.
Yeah, it makes
But there has to be a best practices when it comes to parenting. Like, how can you...
Well, this is going to be like the new thing is these kids are going to be on their phones, so you're going to have to communicate through the phone to really reach them.
Yeah, like text your
if
kid.
you gave them a phone, is there a best age to provide your child with a phone? Do you keep it from them till they're in high school? But then again, is that too late? And will they have no friends because they didn't have a means of connecting to people? Like, it's crazy. The amount of best practices parents are going to have to learn when raising kids for the next 20 years. It's going to be a whole new way of raising a family. Like, man, kids are trying to bring their phones to the dinner table. That was unheard of when I was growing up.
But now every
of.
kid's doing it, and the parents are having to scream. But it's like every single thing you look at is under some sort of massive overhaul as a result of social media. Like think about this. Like, we sit back and we think social media. Oh, I got to see Logan jump off a crane. That was cool. But what people don't talk about all day is how Egypt's government is running completely differently now as a result of social media. How presidential campaigns in the United States are 100% changed. Historically, categorically changed because of social media. Like everything, parenting, e-commerce, the stock market, everything has been massively altered
yeah.
as a result of the advent of social media. And so it's wild.
And we don't know what it's going to do yet. That's
No.
the scariest part of it. We're in the midst of the shit.
Social Dilemma, Netflix, watch it, and then come back to the comments and let us know what you think.